gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's October the 4th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined this morning by Matt Shodell and Azubi Charles as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. Matt, Azubi, the time is now for Mario Cristobal to seize control of his football program. And they have a big week here. We don't want to be drama queens or anything like that. No, it's not the Super Bowl, but there's a lot at stake this weekend when you're coming. Well, there would be a lot at stake anyway as the opener in ACC competition, but there's a lot of respect on the line, guys. This program took a big hit last week in losing to Middle Tennessee State. A lot of doubters around the country with justifiable reason. Recruiting kind of hit a wall now and is kind of in a holding pattern. Kids are waiting to see, like, where does Miami go from here? And then, of course, there's the Mario Cristobal Reclamation Project on the line. And this is not a 1 month project. This is a multi-year project. Let's make that very clear. But this year is a year that was intended to take forward steps. And I thought losing last week, and I don't think you guys would disagree, kind of set them back to square one. And now they have to start taking those incremental steps back upward, beating North Carolina, a team with an explosive offense that has looked relatively impressive at times this year, at least on offense. I think would be a step in the right direction. Zuby, start with you. Your thoughts.
Yep. So you know how you mentioned the recruiting kind of taking a stand. So my biggest thing from talking to some of these guys are not, oh gosh, Miami's losing, but kind of how do they bounce back from these tough 2 losses? The main thing they're kind of preaching to me or saying to me is, hey, we get it. It's year 1. Not everything's going to be perfect, but Middle Tennessee State was kind of a shock, but I just want to see how Miami bounces back. So I feel like this game will have crucial impact on the recruiting going forward.
Matt, your thoughts?
I disagree with both of you just because I don't even know what you both said, but I'm just going to disagree. No, seriously though, like my thing, and I don't really look at it. I know, Gary, you want them to beat North Carolina. I know, Azubi, there's a recruiting impact. If they lose to North Carolina and lose other games this year, they're going to lose other games this year, okay? So to me, this isn't just about recruiting. This is about Mario Cristobal being able to really significantly evaluate players on the current roster who aren't playing. Nigel Kelly, Wesley Bissains. I mean, you go down the list. There's a lot of young guys, Kamari Rogers, Jaden Harris, whatever, Jaleel Skinner. I honestly, if I'm looking at this big picture, I said at the beginning of the year, I don't think they're winning a national championship this year. I don't think they're winning an ACC championship this year. I said they can win the Coastal, and they still can. But to me, what's more important is for Mario to know. He obviously didn't know what he had before this season. He didn't see this coming. But he needs to know before next season what he has in the younger players, which is why I said, listen, I understand why they're going to start Tyler Van Dyke. I said before they announced it that Tyler Van Dyke's going to start. That was the expectation that I had. But at the same time, I would love to see Jake Garcia play a full game just so they can say, okay, this is what Jake Garcia looks like with a full game of first-team reps, a full game of preparation, and then they sort of know before next year, hey, if Jake's going to leave, do we want Jake or do we want Tyler? They're not going to know. They're going to keep Tyler another year. He's not going to the NFL from what I can tell. If Jake comes to Mario Cristobal after the season and says, Coach, I'm leaving, they may not really know what they're losing. So this is why I'm trying to say, like, this year now at 2-2 and what we've seen should be about preparing for next year. The Miami mentality is win 1 week at a time, just win North Carolina, whatever it takes. I sort of wish they would take a different tack and say, we want to win a national championship in 2 years, and let's find out what we have in some of these young guys and maybe get them a little progressed ahead of where they're going to be if they just sit out all year.
I had to tape myself up because I don't want to get accused of interrupting you. I didn't want to get accused of interrupting you, but thank you for being brief because that really was feeling very uncomfortable. Matt Shodell, you are out of your mind. Okay, they are 2-2 right now. They are starting the ACC schedule. Next year might as well be next decade now.
You're that guy who
Don't
just wants to
interrupt me. Tape yourself up if you have to. Don't
no, because you're that guy who just wants to win the ACC. I want to win a national championship in 24 years.
No national championship.
Enjoy the ACC Coastal. Enjoy the ACC Coastal, Ferman. Nobody cares, bro.
Ruby, can you hand me something so I can smack him? Because, are you kidding me? Okay, listen. They are 2-2. They are starting the ACC schedule next Saturday. Okay, this is a team that wants to win the Coastal this year, Matt. Have you taken a look at the Coastal? It would be embarrassing if they don't win the Coastal. Okay, I mean, when you take a look at Virginia, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh just lost at home to Georgia Tech. North Carolina has a very good offense, no question. But none of these teams, Miami's, I think, going to be a 5-point favorite in this game Saturday, Matt. None of these teams are outclassing the Miami Hurricanes, with all respects to Middle Tennessee State, which caught the crap out of them last weekend, caught the whole organization sleeping, from the advanced scouts that clearly didn't identify the fact that they had a 10-2 sprinter at wide receiver, and let Kevin Steele put a game plan together that left his cornerbacks on an island against those guys, and they gave up 4 plays that were the difference in the game, quite frankly, with all respects to all the attention on Tyler Van Dyke's interceptions. Matt, they are playing to win the Coastal Division of the ACC and get to Charlotte. Are they going to beat Clemson once or twice? Probably not. But if they can get to Charlotte, okay, and win the Coastal and at least get to the championship game and then have a decent bowl game, this is a legitimately okay first year for Mario Cristobal. You start losing these Coastal games? Are you kidding me, dude? Like, this would be an absolute nightmare for this program if they become non-competitive in the Coastal this year. You know they're going to probably take a loss at Clemson. They cannot lose any of these games and expect to win the division. Azubi, please, please, please back me up.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one with the 2-2 thinking about next year. I would say if the loss comes to North Carolina and a couple more Coastal losses, then, hey, let's see these young guys or how they play. But I think it's a little too early to kind of hit the panic button with, everybody, come in else, things like that.
All right, let me talk to a sane person for a minute. Let me see. Let me think of a sane person.
Is that Azubi or me? Which one of us is sane?
A sane person compared to the two of you. Let me see if I got. Yeah, my whole phone book is full of sane people. The only 2 people who are insane are the 2 of you. Because listen, Gary, you've been preaching all along. Experience is so important. Van Dyke has the experience. You got to go with the experience. Well, you can't give guys experience by not playing them. I want a national title. Miami fans want a national title. Miami fans don't care about the Coastal with a bunch of really bad teams. They don't need to see Miami lose to Clemson again in the title game. This is a team that needs to be preparing to win a national title in 2 to 4 years. If you think experience is so important, like you keep saying, this is the perfect season.
Neither one of these quarterbacks are here in 4 years, man.
To get young guys experienced, and not just experienced, but also identified by the coaching staff with how they perform in games. I mean, you have such an opportunity this year with all these injuries to really find out what that recruiting class from last year can do. If they were 3-1 right now, we're not having this conversation. But they lost to Middle Tennessee, and you're talking about ACC Coastal and winning the ACC and going to the national title game. Like, the 2 of you are insane people. Azubi agrees with Terry.
Wait, time out. You're the one talking about national title game.
So what's your big plan this year? They win the ACC Coastal and lose to Clemson?
Win the Coastal. And you're going to try to win the Coastal. And then you go take your best shot against Clemson.
Let me finish. This team has been stuck in the mud because of people like you, Ferman, because every year it's about don't play the young guys, just play the same guys every single game, and maybe they could eke out a win over North Carolina and beat bad Virginia Tech and Duke teams. And then the next year, you're stuck with the same situation with young guys who are unproven, and you're not quite sure what they got in games.
Zuby, you're getting a raise because you have way more composure than me, okay? I mean, don't play the young guys. Last time I checked, I was watching Jaden Harris, a true freshman, get beat for a bomb for a touchdown the other day against Middle Tennessee State.
Would you rather that happens now or next year? They learn. They get better from that experience.
You think Mario is sitting here saying, "Oh, let me go 6-6 this year"? Are you crazy? Listen. They had a bad hiccup last week. Okay, a really bad hiccup. They had indigestion. Okay, like worse than a hiccup. Okay, but look, the season starts Saturday. Okay, let's be honest.
What?
It starts Saturday.
Saturday?
The first month.
No, the season is over for those that thought this team was going to win 10 games. They don't care about North Carolina, Duke, and Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech and beating those teams. It means nothing. Beating FSU, I agree. You want to beat FSU every single year. These other games, the fans are not going to be excited about beating Duke, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. It's nice to beat North Carolina, sure, but I mean, North Carolina is not a good team. Let's not kid ourselves.
Matt, where'd you go last weekend? Where'd you go?
I snuck onto the field at Wisconsin and got the coach fired.
Okay. So you watched the coach get fired. Okay, Paul Chris.
I told my wife at the game. I said I would fire that coach if it was Miami.
It's a shame. Isn't it a shame he didn't play his true freshman, man? If he had played his true freshman, he could have made an excuse. Oh man, I'm planning for 3 years down the road on competing for titles in 3 years. Maybe they would have let him stay in his job.
I know it's a shocker to you, Gary, but a guy who's been coaching there for years is in a little different situation than Mario. If Mario's where Wisconsin is in 3 years, that's a big freaking problem. I don't know how you're comparing. Like, I don't know if you eat apples and oranges for breakfast and think they're both the same, but like, this is the stupidest comparison I think you've ever made on this show. I think to Mario Cristobal, that's your comparison?
No.
And I'm the insane person?
You don't go into any season not trying to do the best that you can do. Okay, that's the bottom line. I mean, Paul Christ in 2017 won 13 games. In 2016, he won 11 games. Okay. Now
why are you talking about Paul Christ? He just got fired.
Well, but what I'm saying is this was not a horrible football coach. You want to get people to turn on you real quick and lose your job real fast. You sit there and start mailing in games at 2-2 and saying, I don't care about my record, and I don't care about my conference, and I don't care about trying to win my division and get to the championship game in Charlotte and play on national TV against players. I don't care about any of that. I want to get Kamari Rogers experience.
Gary,
I want to get Jake Garcia experience. It doesn't matter if we win or lose the game. Are you out of your mind?
You're missing the big picture. The players they're playing obviously aren't championship level players. How does Mario know who to jettison next year? You want to jettison half the roster, you say. How does he know who to jettison if they never know?
They will know. They practice every day.
If you think this is based on practice and what the coaches see, then they should have seen the Middle Tennessee loss coming. They said the team practiced fine leading up to the game. It came out of nowhere. You get guys in games. You put them.
How do I get this tape in front of you for a minute so Zuby and I can talk about what's real? Okay, wait. I'm trying to figure out. I guess I can't do it virtually. But see this tape. Consider it over your middle section of the screen right now. Okay, so Zuby and I can talk common sense. All right, Zuby. Listen, so Saturday, first game of the ACC. When sane people like you and I look at the ACC standings, we see it say Miami 0-0, clean slate. Okay, there is one team in this conference that looks like they are at a level of their own. Some people might try to say NC State. They were really relatively non-competitive against Clemson. Didn't really give them much of a battle the other day. Wake Forest, extremely well coached. They make up for a lot, but I don't know that they're going to be able to deal with Clemson. So right now for Miami, Zuby, the Coastal is there for the taking, and you can't replay last Saturday's game. I think this is rally the troops, the entire program. I expect them to come out Saturday, Zuby, with Texas A&M level effort, what we saw in College Station last week. I am expecting a big game from the Miami Hurricanes this weekend. Your thought?
I expect that too. Honestly, there's no other way you need to bounce back from a loss against Middle Tennessee State. Honestly, and the big thing a lot of people are focusing on that I kind of want to rear away from is the offense with North Carolina, because their defense is honestly very atrocious. Out of 131 FBS programs, they rank 113th. So with averaging 33 points a game scored on them. So if Miami's offense wants to come alive and, hey, let's put that loss behind us, I think this is a perfect game for Gaddis to quote unquote open up the playbook and, let Tyler Van Dyke show, what he showed last year against a really bad defense in North Carolina.
Yeah, this is a game, Keyshawn Smith, Frank Ladson should really, be able to show up a little bit. Maybe, hopefully, Michael Redding can hold on to the ball and they can do some things and start getting a rhythm and build some confidence. And then, if they can get Tyler one of those 300-yard passing games that he patented last year, they can, quiet all the nonsense and just get the locomotive back on the tracks, headed in the right direction. I challenged the offensive line this week. North Carolina can be run on. We don't know yet what running backs are going to be healthy. Obviously, Thad Franklin will be out there. You're hoping Rooster and/or Henry Parrish can put some Band-Aids on and get out there this weekend. But this is rally the troops and really focus. They've had 2 weeks to figure it out, get themselves together. And like I said, I am expecting a huge Miami effort Saturday. The defense is going to obviously have to show up as well, but it's there. They got to go and get this done, get to 1-0 in the conference, and then move on from there. All right, Matt, we'll bring you back in a minute, but let's start.
Come back in. I'm good. I don't need to come back in.
Okay, yeah, you just hang out. Yeah, seriously.
I will tell you.
Ruby and I, we got this. Okay, you just hang out.
North Carolina, by the way, North Carolina versus Miami, the national billing of this game should be Rooster versus Storm Duck. I'm hoping that's how they're going to bill it. There is a guy in North Carolina named Storm Duck. There is a guy in Miami named Rooster. If I'm the national media, nobody cares about this game. If you say watch Rooster, try to escape Storm Duck, people are going to tune in. That's how you get ratings. That's my advice to whatever network has to suffer through this game.
All right. Yesterday, let's talk a little bit about yesterday. We had a chance to talk to Mario Cristobal, Josh Gaddis, Kevin Steele, and it really was one of the more interesting half-hour to 45-minute or so sessions that we've had this year. And Kevin Steele spent a lot of time telling us some really good jokes and stuff. He's a very funny guy. But you could sense the urgency in Josh Gaddis in particular, and you could sense the seriousness of Mario Cristobal. And some people were commenting that Mario looks really tired. I can assure you, he has not slept very much in the last 9 days. That loss, I assure you, did not sit well with him. And I'm sure he has spent a lot of time evaluating pretty much everything in his program and figuring out, what broke down last Saturday and trying to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So let's start with Mario. And guys, I mean, I doubt, came into this season, he knew he had issues, but they tried to attack a lot of them in the transfer portal, and I don't think that they've gotten the issues that they thought they were going to get. We talked about the linebackers being a problem. There's been 1 or 2 plays where the linebackers were a big problem, but for the most part, because the defensive line was okay, it hasn't really been the linebackers that were hurting the defense. But to see the defensive backs last game be as big of a problem as they were, now, Kevin Steele's taken a lot of responsibility for it. I don't think that they were prepared for some of those things that Middle Tennessee did to get. It really was 4 plays. He pointed that out to us. There were 61 defensive plays in that game where he said he would change very little. He thought his defense played pretty well for 61 plays. But those 4 plays, those 4 pass plays, just destroyed the whole day and really were the difference in the game, with all respects to the attention on the quarterbacks. And so I think Mario has found a different set of problems than he anticipated. But nevertheless, and Matt, we'll start with you. You could see his seriousness in getting this fixed by this weekend.
I don't even know where to start. Mario I think he underestimated what would happen this season. I think he thought the transfers would make this a 10-win team. I think if he can go back and sort of start over, I think things would have been done a lot differently in terms of personnel usage, things like that. And certainly on the offense, I don't even know if he could go back in time what he would be able to change. I mean, that's probably, something that you can't even, a time machine can't fix what happened on this offense. I don't think anything other than having Charleston Rambo decide to come back when he knew he wasn't being drafted would have fixed the offense. But the fact
maybe a little bit more aggression with Rambo in terms of NIL. Maybe a little bit. He had just taken the job, obviously, so he didn't have a relationship with Rambo. But maybe they could have been a little bit more aggressive with Rambo, even if it took $1 million to say to Rambo, "Hey, come back. You're not going to get drafted. Let's be real. You're not going to get drafted. You could be a major part of this offense next year. We need you back. We will overvalue you in NIL to get you to come back." That's one idea. Maybe, I don't know if it would have been $1 million, maybe 500,000, whatever it would have been. I mean, they gave Nigel Pack 400 in basketball. So I would say that Charleston Rambo would have been as impactful to this football team as Nigel Pack is going to be to basketball this year. So he could have gotten a lot more than he's making right now. Let's put it that way. If he came back, maybe they could have done that. Maybe they could have been a little bit more aggressive in the portal with receivers. I can't remember the kid's name. I believe he was in the Kentucky game the other day. That was a transfer portal kid that looked really, really good to me. I mean, there had to be a few of those type of kids out there besides Addison, who went from Pitt to USC, that, maybe they could have just been a little bit more aggressive with. That would be one thing that I would say maybe they could have changed. But truthfully, I mean, they went and they fortified a whole bunch of positions in the portal, I'm assuming with the best guys they could get. I don't know, Matt, that there's a lot of regrets that they have to have in that regard. I do agree with you, though. You mentioned the phrase personnel usage, and I think they need to tighten these rotations up a little bit. Like, they are playing way too many guys, and I think this week they need to tighten it a little bit. I want to see Messidor impact the game a little bit more regularly. I would like to see Leonard Taylor impacting the game a little bit more regularly. Mitchell Agude came here from UCLA to theoretically be a star at defensive end. I'm not sure what's been holding him back. I would like to see him impact the game regularly. Caleb Johnson at linebacker is another one. I want to see I think I want to see a tighter rotation, guys. And Azubi, let me switch to you on this subject. I don't know. Like, I feel like they're playing too many guys, and that's impacting the quality of play of just about everybody, in my opinion. I personally think that they would be very well suited to just tighten those rotations this week.
I kind of want to touch back on, having Mario's biggest problem. I feel like his biggest problem is one that he can't control with this injury bug with, just first off, going through the running back room. I think you're down to one scholarship running back. The wide receiver room, you lose two guys. So really not a position problem. Just Mario can't really control just injuries happening. And then Aurora's banged up now a little bit. So you're leaning more on Mallory and, Skinner in the tight end room and things like that. So that's one of the problems that I think is the biggest one, and ultimately is out of his hands that he can't control.
And what about the have you felt like I have that they're just trying to play too many guys?
I feel like along the defensive line, when I spoke with Jafari Harvey, he said that doesn't really affect their rhythm getting into the game and things like that. But I feel like ultimately it does. I mean, you're just going in and out of the defensive line. Perhaps, hey, I really can't get into a flow of, all right, I'm doing this. You coming out each play. I get it helps with, you staying fresh, but ultimately you have to get into your rhythm of, all right, this is going to happen throughout the game. I need to get my reps in and then go from there.
I mean, Leonard Taylor needs to be on the field, Matt, more than one out of every 3 or 4 plays. I mean, and I'll go over to the offensive side. How in the world does Keyshawn Smith only get 30 reps out of 92 offensive plays last week? I mean, somebody messed up. No, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. There's no way that was the design. But he's got to be out there 70 plays. Leonard Taylor, his reps go to at least double. I mean, he's got to at least give him 40, 45 plays a game. I mean, he is clearly their best defensive tackle. I know he messes up sometimes, but I mean, he's one of the few guys that can make a play and get in the backfield. And so I hope that they they tighten things up a little bit this weekend. All right, so we've got stories on the website on all of those conversations. Mario Cristobal, Josh Gaddis, Kevin Steele. We tried to pull it all together and come up with the top 5 takeaways from those media sessions. And, Azubi, we had you working on that. And we came up with 5, that Frank Latson is quickly emerging in Josh Gaddis' offense. Miami's injury woes could be bigger than we think. It's looking like, Zion Nelson, Elijah Arroyo, some other guys are, pretty banged up. We don't know their status for the game this weekend. We talked a little bit about how important the fast start is this weekend for Miami. The one that, I thought was very significant is the coaches. The coaches are owning the failures. Okay, there is no scapegoating going on in this program. There's no deflecting blame. If there's a problem on defense, Kevin Steele is saying, that's on me. Josh Gaddis is working very, very hard. I imagine to tighten his playbook a little bit. He and Mario and the offensive coaches are looking very hard at what's working, out of what formations, what plays they're having the most success with. And I think they're trying to focus on the things they're doing well for this game. Mario, the total ownership of the whole thing. Didn't try to make the PR move of benching Tyler Van Dyke, for example. He's sticking with his starting quarterback. He's not scapegoating anybody. But everybody's having very honest conversations, players and coaches. And the truth of the matter is the coaches messed up last week. And I know players made some mistakes too, but last week was unquestionably on the coaches. And I think it's great that they are being, men enough, whatever term you want to use, and taking that responsibility and not putting that pressure on the players. Matt, your thought?
It's always good when coaches admit they're awful. No. Listen, before Gary went off on his soliloquy off of something,
oh my God,
I didn't intend for him to say 25 minutes ago, my point was Mario didn't see this coming. Is that his fault? I don't know. It's player performance is player performance at the end of the day. I don't blame the coaches 100% for any of this. To me, it's always 50-50. It's almost like a marriage, Do you blame, which spouse do you blame? I mean, you could blame everybody. You don't get a result like that.
There's no way your marriage is 50-50. No chance.
No. Kevin Steele has been around for so long that you say the coaches took responsibility. Really, it was Kevin Steele that took responsibility. He just got up at the podium and said, it's all my fault. The entire program's downfall over the last 20 years is point at me. I'm the reason they threw the flag in 2002. That's what Kevin Steele got up at the podium and said, which I really respected. Finally, somebody who's taking responsibility. And it turns out.
When do you see that? I can't remember the last time I saw that. I mean, you see coaches like handed make a comment, it's on me or whatever. You don't see it with the passion that we saw.
Right. And anyway, I was trying to get to this before you listen to this whole soliloquy about.
All right, man. I'm just like, I'm just trying to have some positive, productive give and take with you.
Yeah, don't do that. So before you went through my time machine and ruined my whole message to everybody, what I was trying to say was if Mario Cristobal could go back in time, he would change a lot, which sort of backs up my personal theory that I would love to see him play some of these guys who he decided back then shouldn't play because he brought in 12 transfers, shouldn't play because they have experienced returners who haven't gotten the job done. And you're saying shorten the rotation. I'm saying no. I'm saying this is the year to experiment. I mean, every fan out there knows this is not Mario Cristobal's team. Next year, if this happens next year, goodbye recruiting, okay? This year, he has a built-in excuse. This is his first recruiting class. You can say to full recruiting class. You can say to every recruit out there, listen, you're my guy. This is my first class. We need you at Miami. It doesn't matter if they lose 6 games this year. That's not the end of the world. Fans will understand at this point. And
they are on hold right now with every recruit on the board that's not committed.
What's that?
They're on hold right now with all the recruits that aren't committed.
It doesn't matter.
These kids want to see them win.
They're
not interested in experimentation. They want to see them win.
NIL is going to be the difference at the end anyway, whether they win or lose. If the NIL is not there, it doesn't matter. It's just the reality. We both talked about it because you don't bring a Zuby on enough. But that's the truth, okay? Fans don't want to hear it. It's the truth. They can go 6-6 and pay a guy $1 million, and he'll come to Miami and be a 5-star, and he'll be great. But I want to know what they have on this roster, and they're not going to find out by playing the same guys over and over again with a short rotation like you two insane people are saying they should. I'm sorry. I just happen to disagree.
Okay, so who should step aside for whom?
There are about 5 defensive players who I think need to play constantly. Leonard Taylor on the defensive line, Akeem Messer on the defensive line. I don't even care at middle linebacker who plays, okay? I know Corey Flagg's doing well. I don't care. James Williams has to play.
He's already playing.
Cam Kinston has to play, and Tyreek.
He's already playing.
And Tyreek Stevenson has to play. Those are 5 guys. The other guys, I want to see the younger guys.
You said Tyreek Stevenson?
Sorry?
You're mentioning guys that are already playing a lot.
I'm naming 5 guys because, Gary, you're saying who are you going to bench? I'm saying those are the only 5 guys that I want to play 80% of the reps. The rest, I want to see younger guys get a chance. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but what younger guys do you want to see out there?
6 other positions where you can get the young guys in.
Who do you think is ready to be out there?
I already said Nigel Kelly I want to see. I want to see Cyrus Moss get some defensive end reps. I want to see if I don't care if you're shaking your head. I want to see
he's not playing very much for that reason.
I don't care. I want to see him
do it, Matt. I think they're trying to redshirt him. Go ahead.
I want to see him as a pass rusher. Kids don't need to redshirt anymore.
Cyrus Moss needs to redshirt.
At linebacker, I want to see Wesley Bassines.
Yes.
At cornerback, I want to see Kamari Rogers. I want to see who's that other young guy? There's 2 other young guys at cornerback.
Jaden Harris, Chris Graves.
The other one, Pete Graves. I want to see Graves for sure. Jaden Harris, he got beat once. I want to see him also. Okay. On the other side of the ball, I already said I want to see Jake at least get a full game. 1 full game. Pick the game. Duke, I don't care. Just pick a game. Okay. They're going to beat Duke anyway. Why not use him for that game? I want to see him get a full game. At running back, they're already going to have to use Thaddeus, but I want to get a real good idea of what Thaddeus can do or can't do. And obviously at wide receiver, the depth is too thin anyway. There's nobody really you can use there, but I would like to see Isaiah Horton at least get some chances. Why not? If he's healthy, I'm not sure if he's been banged up or not. Tight end Jaleel Skinner is going to have no choice now, but I wanted to see him play no matter what, a lot more than Will Mallory. Okay, I know he can't block. Well, guess what, Josh? Got to figure it out. Okay. And on the offensive line, I want to see they only use 5 offensive linemen every game, and then maybe Zion once in a while. I want to see if they have anybody else, anybody who can play. I just want to see if there's anything there.
I want to see Zuby come out of retirement and sign up to be a walk-on, and I want to see them throw him out there against North Carolina this weekend too.
Listen,
Matt, you are casting aside almost everybody on this football team that would like to have a chance to have a pro football career. Okay?
What? Yes. This is about the Miami Hurricane. Why are you always about, don't ruin a guy's career? This is about Miami winning a national title. I don't care who goes to the NFL. I cover the Miami Hurricanes, not the Green Bay Packers, bro.
So if you're more than a freshman, your future is totally irrelevant.
Give John Dennis a chance at center. Give Logan Sagapolu a chance at guard. See if they're even worth keeping around. Why not try a guy like Michael McLaughlin who looks like he can be great, but maybe he can't move his feet any better than Gary Ferman can? I don't know. They haven't gotten on the field.
Oh, my God.
God forbid they play some guys who are younger. Woo! God forbid. Because where's this team going with the same guys every game?
Matt, you're telling me that...
And I'm not saying
I'll drop it after this. The fact that you would like to play in the NFL, I know he's not playing very well so far.
I'm not saying bench everybody. I'm saying these guys need to play. And play 40% of the game, 30%. I don't care. But they need to play. I don't need these guys redshirting. I want to know what you got.
All right. Hopefully they'll find a happy medium. I think they need to figure out who the best players are. After 4 games, they should know. And I think they need to tighten the rotations, and they need to go win the Coastal. That's my opinion. Okay? I'm not into this whole lab experiment thing.
Okay, this is what's been going on for.
We disagree.
You want to do the same
fine.
thing they've done for 20 years, which is play the same guys after the season's already 2-2 or 1-3 or whatever. Like,
the season is not over.
I want something different.
The only way this season's over is if they're out of the Coastal. If they are out of the Coastal,
if they lose to North Carolina,
then I will start waving.
You're so
team that Shodell banners.
Not Gary Ferman. Gary Ferman's win every game. They lose to North Carolina, Gary. You'll still be like, oh, we're still in it. They just got to beat Duke and Georgia Tech, and maybe they could beat Pittsburgh. We could still win the Coastal. North Carolina's going to lose another game anyway. I know what you're going to say.
2 losses in the ACC, then I will jump over to Team Matt Shodell. Until then, I think you're out of your mind.
No, because it could take 3 losses to be out of the ACC Coastal this year. Those teams are all going to lose 2 games.
Okay, but until they are out of the Coastal, I think you're out of your mind. If they unfortunately and hopefully this is not an issue are out of the Coastal, then I agree with you. Experiment.
Do a poll on the board tomorrow. Ask fans how badly they want to win the Coastal. Ask them. Would you rather win the Coastal now, or would you rather see younger players play and maybe see what the team has? And I bet, I'm just guessing here, I'm guessing there's a decent majority that would say, I want to see what the young players have got. I don't care about the Coastal.
Well, the only one I care about is Jay Collette. And you know what Jay Collette's going to say? Jay Collette is going to say they can walk and chew gum.
Listen, these 1930s aphorisms you spout, they don't do it for me, Gary. Come up with a new one.
He learned that from me. He's going to say they can walk and chew gum. All right, so we've got the 5 takeaways on the website as well. A few other stories I want to talk about today, but first, let's hear from our friends at LifeWallet.
We here at LifeWallet take security very seriously. Our data security team is working constantly to make sure that your data is not accessed by anybody who you don't authorize.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah,
excuse me, sir. Thank you.
I have talked to CC, and he's thinking about it, and I'll be talking to CC. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We use leading technology standards like biometric data to make sure that only you have access to your data and your identity is protected. LifeWallet gives you access to your entire medical history and information at the touch of your finger, so that it can save you time and can save your life.
Data transfer complete.
These are going to be the official glasses of Team Matt Shodell.
No one even knows what those glasses mean.
You get the pink flamingos because of just how
Azubi, help me. Do you know what that means? What does it mean when someone put those on? It means they're insane, right?
And no. You're going to get the pink flamingos because of how soft your opinions are, and then you're going to get the palm tree because we're all just going to go on vacation for the next 3 months while we experiment through these 8 or 9 football games that are left. We're just experimenting for the future. So Azubi, myself, and all the fans, we're gonna go over to the Bahamas or something and just hang out at Baha Mar and sit at the pool and drink pina coladas. And maybe we'll fly back in on the weekends for the games so that we could see all this Matt Shodell experimentation. But yeah, so those will be the official glasses. I'm going to buy those by the thousands for all the Canes fans that want to join us in Margaritaville, partying our life away while they experiment at Canes football headquarters. All right. This morning we have a couple recruiting updates. One of them's on tight end commit Reed McKeska. And all the coaches went out recruiting last week. And kind of some of them stayed in town, some of them left town. Stephen Field went on a little tour to visit his tight end commits. And one of those excursions took him to Texas. Thank God for all those private charters that are now part of Miami football because the coaches can move around. Coach Adai took a trip all the way out to California. Just out and back. I was wondering, could that have been punishment for the way the DBs played last week? That he got dispatched on a recruiting trip all the way across the country and back in one day. That's what, 11, 12 hours in the air. But they have a LSU commit defensive back that they're recruiting out there, and it was an opportunity to go see him live because of the open week. So they took advantage of that. But Coach Field, he went to see his tight ends, and one of those trips took him to Texas to see Reed McKeska. And Azubi, you spoke to Reed, and the fact that Coach Field took the time to come see him out there in Texas, it seemed to resonate a little bit and mean a lot to him.
That was the biggest thing Reed really told me about, seeing Coach Field out there, is just saying, hey, he made his way from Florida all the way to Texas to come see me. And he just mentioned how he feels like a priority, seeing his coach just be out on the sideline. Granted, they won 63-0. He was just really happy to see Coach Field out there.
63-0. Wow. Did he have a big game?
So their offense over there in Bridgeland is real run heavy. So he did it, but he still had a good performance out there.
All right. We also have a story on the site today on 2024 wide receiver Brandon Winton and where he stands at this point in his recruitment. For you guys that are into the NFL Canes, big weekend this past week and a lot of action there. And we've got our weekly Pro Canes update. And Matt, did you see that Braxton Berrios pass play? That was pretty cool, man. It's like to see Braxton. I mean, whoever would have thought that Braxton Berrios would like be the star in New York that he's becoming, doing just a little bit of everything and catching passes, throwing balls. Yeah. They love him in the Big Apple.
It's funny. I was with Josh Gaddis for that play, and he said it was an awful play. He would have run right up the middle.
I'm going to let that one go. Oh, my God. All right. Later on today, we've got a lot more stuff coming at you guys. We expect to hear from Tyler Van Dyke, and that will be a very interesting interview session for sure. It'll be nice to get a read on just his confidence level, how he feels about everything right now. Hopefully he will be politically correct. He won't say anything about the lack of fans at the stadium the last game. And on that note, guys, everyone that's watching, talk to your friends. Let's get the Canes fans out in force this week. That is such a horrible look for the program with the whole north side of the stadium empty the way it was last week. And, if this is whatever level of reclamation project this is, you want it to go well. And it's not going to go well with the stadium looking like it looked for the Middle Tennessee State game. So this is a big game, contrary to what Matt Shodell says. Get to your neighbors, get to your friends, all your fellow Canes fans, and get them to come out to the stadium this weekend. But, so we're going to hear from Tyler Van Dyke. We'll be hearing from some other players as well today, and we'll bring you all those updates as the day goes on, and we'll have more recruiting news for you and so forth and so on. So we thank you so much for joining us as always this morning. We wholeheartedly apologize to you for having to listen to the insanity that was coming out of the middle panel on this 3-panel screen that you've been looking at for the last 42 minutes of your life that you will never get back. I want to thank Zuby for joining us this morning and giving me at least one sane partner in crime. And I hope nobody drove off the road listening to Matt, and you get to work safely. And have a great day, everybody. And we'll see you again on this show tomorrow.